My name is Carina and welcome to the Carina Chronicles. This week I'm going to try to finish 4 or 5 books in 1 week, which sounds ridiculous, but I'm filming this on day 2 of the reading vlog and I finished 3, so it is possible. Let's start. So last week was a reading disaster. I wanted to finish at least 3 books, I finished none. That wasn't great, but I made up for it this Monday, the 31st of October. I finished 3 books. And that is less impressive than it sounds because I needed only 300 more pages of Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. That was a big chunky thing that took me some time, but that I could finish. Then I treated myself to a quick read and read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, which was only 100 pages. So that one was easy. And then I only needed to do 100 pages more of The Invisible Life of Addie, LaRue, because it was a buddy read that we were reading in October and every week we did 100 pages. So I almost finished that book already. So I did all 3 on Halloween. Happy Halloween, by the way. I know it's not Halloween for you, but it's Halloween for me today. So I will talk to you about all those things in the clips that I made. And I will also try to continue and finish the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton before Tuesday. It is Monday. I haven't started, so that's going to be a challenge. And I'm going to finish this one, Italiaans for Beginners by Erica James, which should be a quick read, but I started the first page and then I was so annoyed that I put it down for the whole month of October. Well, I actually promised to read it in October. So I'm going to try to finish it as soon as possible in November. We'll see if I'll be able to, and after that, we're in for another big chunky book, but we'll see if I come to that. First, all of these books. And I have some other interesting updates too. So let's start with this week. Hello. So the first update of this reading vlog. I actually read quite some pages, so we're starting off good. I said in my last reading vlog something mysterious about having an extra long night to read. But I don't know if you know this because it's not in every country. I think in only a few, maybe only the Netherlands. I don't even know, but I thought not only the Netherlands. But we have winter and summertime, which was once put into action because when it is summer, you are woken up by the early sunrise very, very, very early. And a lot of people can't sleep after it's turned light anymore. And we don't need that much light. We wake up at like, I don't know, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., even 9 a.m. And that's when we need light and not earlier. And in the evening when you are having barbecues or eating dinner outside or all these fun things, we would like it to be light longer. So time got changed. And in March, in the end of March, we skip an hour. So we have a day of 23 hours. So when it's actually 6 o'clock, we call it 7. And starting from then, it is summertime and you have, more light in the evening, less light in the morning, because we switch the day with an hour, which is great. But then when the days turn shorter and you want light in the morning, because now when we wake up, it's still dark. And it will be dark in the evening anyway, so if that is 1 hour earlier, we don't really mind. So in the end of October, which was yesterday, we get an hour extra. So that means if it's like 7 a.m., we call it 6 a.m. so we can sleep for an hour longer. So my day yesterday consisted of 25 hours, or actually today, Sunday, consists of 25 hours, but because the clock is changed during the night of Saturday on Sunday, so it won't cause any big problems. All clocks do this automatically, by the way, so there are no big problems. You just notice that you have had an hour more of sleep. But because I, of course, knew this in advance, I just read a little longer because I knew I was going to be able to sleep an hour longer anyway. Because you're not like, oh, let's meet up at 7 a.m. then instead of 8 or something. You're not doing that. So you just have an hour extra in your day. It's great. Although it means that it's going to be winter soon. But okay, so I've read quite some pages of Midnight's Children and I'm loving it. I am at page 392. The book consists of 3 parts and the second part is until page 478 or something. So 80 pages to go. And I have a lot of positives on this book. I really, really like it. I don't know really why, because the plot is not so extremely important. We just follow this young guy, or actually we're following this man, and he tells the story of his life to his lover. And while doing that, he starts at the very beginning, the first part is all about how he came to be born, so how his parents met and the grandparents, and well, long story. And now the second book, that is almost finished, 80 pages left, is about his first 12 years of his life. So yeah, he is being quite elaborate, but it is just so metaphorical and so much very valuable opinions and point of views on society and on Indian history, and it's just so good. And it's written very funny, and in comparison to other classics, I think it's just as slow and elaborate and chunky. But because he is telling the story, his lover sometimes doesn't understand the same things we as readers wouldn't understand. And instead of what Russian classics usually do, like just expect you to know everything and understand therefore everything, he just explains. So sometimes he even explains the title of the chapter. Like, I could have chosen another title, but I thought this fitting because of this and this and this. So it might be like a little bit of cheating, because he is literally explaining how to read this book. But it works. Like, he is saying so many beautiful things. I don't know, I don't have quotes, but he's saying so many very interesting things and reflection on a lot of things happening in society. And I just really love it. The only downside I have is that it is so big. Although I'm really enjoying it. So actually it is not a downside, but I just wanted to have finished it already, and I sometimes hate that when you read forever, it feels like nothing changed in the book, you know? Because now also I have 80 pages left of this part, but because the chapters are so long, that's like 2 or 3 chapters, and that means nothing much is going to happen anymore in this part. I could already give you a review of, well, I really like this part. I think the second part is even better than the first part, and I already like the first part. But it feels a little bit weird that those 80 pages will cost me more than an hour probably, because it's that dense. So it feels a little bit weird that I need to read another 1.5 hours for something I could already now say, okay, I like it. Let's move on. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit of the downside, but really, really enjoying it. Today is a Sunday. It's actually my first day of weekend because I'm also free on Monday. And a friend is coming by, which is really nice, at lunchtime. And before that, I want to clean the house. So the reading for today is probably done. I really hope that I can finish the book tonight. But having noticed how slow it's going, and I need almost 300 more pages, which will take me like 6 hours. That is not going to happen. I won't have 6 free hours today, so that won't happen, unfortunately. But tomorrow is free except for making videos. So tomorrow is going to be crazy. I will update you then. Today I will be free of filming, just chilling, with my friend and cleaning the house. So, see you then. Hello. I'm just casually sitting here doing nothing I should be doing, seeing that my last update was like very vague and being just here like, okay, I don't know what to do. I am going to watch A Clockwork Reader because she had a video on Dark Academia, and on Tuesday we have a book club meeting and we're going to choose the next book and the theme will be Dark Academia. So there is no better timing than this. So I actually commented that on her video, like, there's no better timing for this because we're going to choose a book Dark Academia themed on Tuesday. And we watch her videos, so we need inspiration. I am highly inspired, by the way. My whole TBR was shuffled. I literally, this is too much to explain, but I deleted like 40 books from my TBR because I've added them 3 or 4 years ago and I wasn't really interested in them anymore. And I usually keep my TBR up for 200 books because otherwise I get too overwhelmed. So if then a book goes off the list because I've read it, I can put on a new book. And in that way, there will be only books that then are still on my mind, if you understand what I mean. But now, having lifted off 40 books or something at one go, I could put on 40 new books. So, really excited about all of this. This makes no sense. This is not what I wanted to tell. At least I left a comment on A Clockwork Reader's video and I had like 20 likes on the comment, which is not that much and not important at all and it doesn't do anything. But I just thought, well, maybe one of those people checked out my channel. And then I found out that I finally reached 150 subscribers. Woohoo! Which was my goal of 2022. And I know it's not fixed. Like, people can unsubscribe again. Please don't do so. Please be kind and just stay subscribed, even though my video is a little bit of a blurb. I am enthusiastic at least. So, well, I'm really happy. I hope it stays this way or gets up even more. Before I make my like overview video, which is in the beginning of January, I really hope so. I really hope so. But at least I'm happy I now reached 150 subscribers and now I'm going to watch Hannah again. Okay, thank you. This was my TED Talk. Hi. So, I obviously wanted to update you in this week, but I just really couldn't find the time. So that ended up in me going to make this video in this whole evening. So I'm just going to update you on everything now. I also was dressed really nice and I thought, oh, that is nice for the video. But then I needed to cycle 11 kilometers through the rain. So now I'm in my pajamas again. I still got a lot to tell you though. So I am really excited to tell you all about it. As I already said in the intro, I finished 3 books in one day. And that is the good part. The bad part is that that was the only thing I've read this week. I am certain that I will read some more, but I'm so busy that there will be no time for me to edit the video if I don't do it tonight. Tonight is Thursday. So that means that I'm closing off the reading vlog quite early, but I thought it would be fine because I'm going to be talking about 3 books that I finished, so it's fine. So reading wise, it was just one day that was good this week, but it was very good. And let's start with the first one, which was Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. I finished that book. I said in my last update in the last reading vlog that I felt like I could predict what was going to happen in the third part of the book, or at least in the last part of the second book. The book was divided into 3 parts, which were called books, so that's why I say that. And that I thought that it was there for a little bit too long. Well, I didn't really predict what was going to happen. The third book was very different from the first 2, but very good. Really good. And it read also a little bit faster even. And it was just an incredible book. I just wrote my review for Goodreads, and while writing it, I was like, yeah, this was actually a really good book. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars, which I feel like is a little bit too low. This book deserves 5 stars, but I rate books due to my enjoyment, and that is a 4-star enjoyment, because it is too big for its own good. It wasn't necessary. Like, it was enjoyable to read more about Salim because the story was incredibly good and metaphorical, and it made you think about a lot of different things. Everything about it was actually very good, but then after 300 pages or something, you get a little bit bored because almost 700 pages is just very much. And in a fantasy book, it's still very much, but then you have a new world that you need to get to know and need to understand, and usually a magic system and a politics system, and sometimes you have different animals or creatures that you need to get to know. And this was just a book taking place in our real world. So that was not something that we needed to learn. So then 700 pages with just a novel is really, really much. And I thought it too much. So that is the only reason that I gave it 4 stars, not 5. Because my enjoyment was a little bit less because of that. But I thought it to be very good, one of the best classics I've read, and very happy that I've read it. I'm very curious to his other books now. His Satan's Verses are definitely on my TBR because my parents own that book, so I'm going to borrow it one day. And I also want to read Quixote by him, which is like a praise of the book Don Quixote. So I actually want to read it after I read Don Quixote. But really, really curious about those books and really happy that I've read this one. So that was a good start of the reading week. And then as kind of a present for myself, I then immediately read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, which is a book of only 100 pages. So I was like, if I could read 700 pages, I am now allowed to read a very small book. So that... And on average, were just 2 normal books, you know? So I read A Christmas Carol. It is obviously not Christmas yet, but I really didn't mind. I really came into the vibe, by the way. I'm really excited for Christmas now, and it's only the beginning of November. But I obviously watched some of those movies with A Christmas Carol. I know the story and know exactly how it goes, but I had never read the original, even though this is also a translation, so it's still not the original, but, well... You get what I mean. It's the full story at least. And oh my, I adored it. It's so funny and so light, but so meaningful. It's perfect for children, but for adults, it's still beautiful. It has all the layers you wanted to have, and it is the perfect Christmas story, the perfect Christmas Carol. I didn't expect myself to love it so much. I have a beautiful illustrated edition, which really added something to it as well. I read it in like 1 hour, really, really loved it, 5 out of 5 stars. So it actually proved to me, although it's not comparable with Midnight Children, they're both classics, but one is a classic for children and the other one is a classic for obviously adults and is more... going through magical realism, so a lot of complicated things in there. Well, A Christmas Carol is not, but still A Christmas Carol showed me what I missed in Midnight Children, being that in 100 pages you can write such an important story and an important message and metaphors and have just a perfect little book. And Midnight Children was 700 pages, which were actually just 300 too long, even though it was enjoyable and everything added something to the story. I still would have liked it more if it was like 400 pages or 350. And A Christmas Carol just showed that to me. I love it. I really, really love this story. 5 out of 5 stars. So that was great. Yeah, I really liked that it was no disappointment. I mean, I've read now 4 of the classics of the Wereldklassiekers by Blossom Books, a publisher that is publishing classics anew. And I've liked them all, but this one was my favorite and I didn't expect that. So really happy with that. It was actually the one I was least excited about when they announced it. I was like, okay, I know that story, I am fine. But I really, really liked it. So that was good. And then I obviously finished The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V. Schwab. I buddy read that book. So we read 100 pages per week for the whole of October. It was 444 pages in the end. So by the end of October, literally the 31st of October, I finished the book, which was really nice. I loved the book. It had quite some flaws. Mainly in the art part. They made some very big mistakes about saying the wrong painter with the wrong painting. But also some smaller mistakes that you notice when you're an art lover yourself. The way they talked about music, they sometimes used the wrong terms for the wrong performances. This sounds a bit fake, but if you know art well, it just didn't feel real, while the art is a very major part in the story. So it feels very weird that a character that presumably knows this much about art is saying all these things with the wrong wording. And that is obviously messy. That's weird that an editor or a publisher also didn't get that out of the story. It's also in the very small things when they're going to like the most fancy restaurant and they order the most fancy wine and it's like a Merlot, which is the most common wine probably you can drink in every restaurant. And I know that a lot of fancy restaurants don't even serve Merlot. Well, this sounds very pretentious of me. I'm sorry. But even that was like, couldn't you have chosen something more extravagant if that is the point you want to make? I know all these small details were not good. But even though that was the case, this book was incredibly written and still very much a 5 out of 5 stars. Up to half of the story I thought it would be 4, but it really went uphill and the climax was very good. I really loved it. I think it's my favorite by Schwab that I've read up till here, but I really liked A Darker Shade of Magic as well. It was also a 5 out of 5 stars. I really liked this story. It's so beautiful, so meaningful. I loved Henry's part, like it's the invisible life of Addie LaRue, but Addie LaRue wasn't my favorite character. We also follow Henry, which comes later into the story, and well, his storyline is just... I loved him. I love him, and he will always be in my heart. There's also a weird thing between her and the devil. I didn't really like that through the whole story, although I also felt like a pull towards him. I was like, okay, maybe this can change. And I didn't like it through the whole story, even not the last chapter. But then the last page, literally the last page, changed my opinion. Because I think that was very in character of Addie LaRue. And it felt like something that really fitted their relationship. So yes, that changed my mind for the good. So really liked that part as well eventually. So yeah, really liked this story overall. I think this book was perfectly good size, like it shouldn't have been longer, but also definitely not shorter. Yeah, really loved it. Glad that I finally read it, and glad that I'm on the good side because everyone seems to say this their favorite book of all time, or at least of the year. Favorite book of the year when they read it, or the least favorite book of the year when they read it. So I'm happy that for me it is a favorite. And I think it's the best book I've read in the month of October. So really happy with that. And not surprised, but relieved. So very happy that I finally read the book, and can't wait to pick up a next Schwab book, because I have a feeling this is going to be one of my favorite authors. Furthermore, I said that I would haul quite some books, and I did order a lot of them, but they unfortunately haven't arrived yet. So that will probably be in the next vlog, or even the one after that, because they all had a delivery time that I'm not used to anymore, but it's fine. I'm not in a hurry. But I cannot show you them yet, so I will also not spoil which ones they are. But I hold one book for free this time, and that is Mevrouw, Mijn Moeder by Yvonne Keuls. This is a book that has been out. It's about Indonesia in the time that the Netherlands was still in charge there. And it's an older book, but it is republished for Nederland Leest, of which I made a video last year, so I will link that on the screen. But that is something every November in the Netherlands where they try to get Dutch people to read more, so they republish a classic and you can get it for free at your library. And it's always in a theme, so they write an introduction about the theme. I think the theme is now colonization or something. But the theme was once artificial intelligence or climate change, and they find a book that is a little bit older but really fits the modern theme, and they write an introduction about that, and then you can just read the novel. And that's really nice. I collect them all. I almost own them all. I miss a few years, so I need to go second-hand shopping and find them one day. But happy to own this one as well, and I will definitely read it. So I at least hold one thing. One thing that is also very fun, where you can get a book for free, is in February. It's called Geef een boek cadeau, so that means give a book as a gift. And that is for children, which has kind of the same concept. Even though you cannot get the book for free at your library, but at your bookstore. And it's not free, but it's €3, which is almost free. And they republish children classics to get children to read more. And I own all of them up till this year. Because how nice is it to have my favorite children books all in a row for not that much money. I love it. And it was announced which one will be this February, and that is Dolfje Weerwolfje by Paul van Loon, which is a werewolf story about a very little sweet guy of 10 years old, I think, that turns into a werewolf. And it is a very big series, so this is the first time they actually do something that is a first part of a series. I think it will help the bookstores a lot with selling those books again of the rest of the series, so that is also really nice, thank you. But I'm also really excited because this is one of the children's series that I really love that I don't own any book of, so owning the first part for only €3 will be fun. I'm really happy. Can't wait for February. So that was also nice. And that was actually it for this reading vlog. I started the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle just this evening, so I don't have anything to say about it yet. I do know that my friend finished it and really liked it, thought it was a very exciting story, really wanted to know how it all would end, and she thought there were some plot holes, but in the end she found out that wasn't the case. Everything fits perfectly, so I'm really excited about it. I love that in stories. So my next reading vlog will be reading that. And hopefully hauling some more books. There are a few books on their way that all have a very unpredictable long delivery time. So I have no idea when I can show them to you. One is for a book club. We're going to read a book that wasn't very easy to get, so I have no idea when it will arrive. One is because someone recommended this book to me as like their favorite book of all time. I always do that with my zodiac sign book tag, and I have a very pretty edition, so it needed to come from far. And we have these very beautiful timeless classics that I have a subscription on, but it hasn't started yet. I asked for it like 1.5 months ago, but I got a notification that the payment was like arranged on the 31st of October. So I should get that anytime soon. They said there was no problem with it or something. It just takes long apparently. But they did the administration on the 31st of October, and then it should be within a week that they ask for my payment and I can actually pay. And if I've paid, they send it. And if they send it, they will send it to my UK address that I made specifically for this subscription. And if it arrives there, I can send it to my home in the Netherlands. So that one will probably not be in next week's reading vlog, but maybe I do have an estimation when it arrives in next week's reading vlog. So that would be something. Really excited about that still as well though. So that was actually it. I really hope you liked this reading vlog. Let me know down in the comments below what you've been reading. If you've also read some new 5-star review rating books. Because I've read 2 this week, which is great. If you subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell, you will be notified whenever I post a new video. I hope you'll have a lovely day filled with books, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye! I can't believe I actually finished 3 books in a day. I haven't even done that in a 24-hour reading challenge. And I know one book was only 100 pages and one book I already almost finished. But it's still, I felt very excited when I succeeded in this.